Oh, and these ones I added pictures. The air metering unit. All right, there is no such thing as the air metering unit. We wanted to look at the media. So, and I guess maybe I didn't make this clear enough in my understanding and how I teach this and how you may end up with test questions. The venturi here and the impact tubes work together to measure our airflow. We're going to use similar thing in a pressure carb. We're going to use our carburetor, our plain old carburetors use a venturi. And where this is important to know is that our continental system, which I've talked about with some of the students, and we'll get into deeper tomorrow, our continental system has no venturi. It does not measure the airflow. So the venturi connected with these make a pressure differential. The air diaphragm responds to it, but this is what actually measures it. All right. So okay. I have no idea what you're talking about, Sean. Oh, Braden. All right. Showing the media again here. Change in the air metering force right there causes that ball valve to open. So what was confusing? People picked rotary valve. There's no rotary valves in there. There are those plate valves that we use to balance, to make my fuel metering force. The throttle plate is moved to adjust the airflow. Well, the throttle plate moves to adjust the airflow, and then that changes the air metering force. And the mixture is indeed compensated for altitude changes, but that's a different system. Braden, what's up? Ah. So the power enrichment valve is that enrichment jet. What that's referring to is at high power, we need extra fuel. We open that enrichment jet. What actuates that? Disregard women, become a monkey. All right. Oh. Oh. Dedicated cockpit control. There's no dedicated. So that is going to control my main mixture. Wow, everybody's getting this confused. The power enrichment valve. See right there? Oops, didn't do that. Click wrong. The power enrichment valve. Let me pull this up on the something that won't shrink on me. Take a look here. That's the mixture control valve. And here's the main metering jet and the enrichment jet. So the power enrichment, this enrichment metering jet right here, is opened by a linkage that moves this valve back and forth. What moves this valve back and forth? This guy here is tied to the throttle. Okay, so I lost a lot of people there. What did I mess up? This enrichment jet, or power enrichment valve, is going to take away all of my fuel metering force and allow all of the fuel that the air metering force wanted to get to the engine. It's linked to the throttle plate because we want this to happen automatically. Whenever the pilot pushes the throttle all the way forward, we want it to deliver an extra rich fuel mixture. Remember that curve that we had, idle, cruise, and takeoff? That only happens at max power. Yeah, let's look at where's my fuel? Here we go. Let's go here. This slide here. Okay, so the purpose of that valve is to make, oops, do I have a pin? I do have a pin. Is to make this part happen. It opens a valve and gives us this extra rich for takeoff power automatically. You can't depend on the pilot to remember to make it rich for takeoff and then lean it when he pulls back on the throttle a little bit. We want it to do that automatically. And then we do the same thing at idle. We're going to adjust our idle mixture. The pilot doesn't have a whole lot of control of the fact that this curve happens. The pilot can go ahead with the mixture control and trim that back. But when they're at idle and when they're at takeoff, that red handle in the cockpit is generally supposed to be full forward. Okay. So clearly, I would have had a bad result in the test center on the question like this. So what's confusing, or can I move on? Like only 4 of the class got it right. Everybody seems to be confusing it with the mixture control. I said power enrichment, not main mixture. Anybody care to chime in? All right. And moving along. So what we're asking, at full rich, when we want all the fuel, will this hole over here be bigger or smaller than this hole? So if I want maximum fuel, do I make this hole bigger than this one? Yes, I do. That makes sense? This main metering jet is something the engineers put in when we're at cruise power to limit our fuel a little bit. But if we don't want to limit the fuel any more than that, we're going to leave this main metering jet here, the mixture control valve, to be bigger. This is just a concept. There isn't a direct question about this, I don't think. But it's a concept, understanding that if we leave this hole big, it will not impact our fuel flow, and this one gets to do all of the control. Little bit of geography trivia. When you get to level 3, ooh, I don't know, because got a different instructor there. One of the instructors had me write a bunch of Kahoots, and you got to know your Canadian trivia. And I'll give you one really weird one. Did you know that the Canadian flag has been in existence for a shorter time than Tim Hortons? Tim Hortons has been around in Canada longer than the Canadian flag. That was pretty unbelievable to me. Yes, that's right. Ouch. It does not depend on throttle position. All of the air consumed by the engine has to go through here. What's the other path for air to go through the engine for the, my gosh, huge percentage of you that picked other than that? Varies percentage. So the amount of air going through the engine depends on throttle position. But all of the air must go through the venturi. Does that make sense? All of the air that goes to the engine must go through that venturi. All right. Important. That's an important concept to know. Like, you should understand that all of the air goes through the venturi. All right, moving along here. Two are correct. Two are indirect, are incorrect. Do indirectly control it. Right, so the mixture valve setting, full rich to idle cutoff, has a very direct impact on the fuel flow, and the amount of airflow is measured by the venturi, used to make an air metering force to also directly affect the position of that little ball valve. Idle mixture. All right, who controls the idle mixture? We do. Where is the manual mixture control? In the cockpit, right. Did I get rid of that picture? I may have. Yeah, my picture's gone. The main mixture control is in the cockpit, and the pilot controls it. The pilot does not get to control the idle mixture. What we do give them is the ability to do idle cutoff. Idle mixture is set by you and me. The pilot can do idle cutoff because all of these systems need to provide for some way to cut off fuel for idle. So lots and lots of people here. Is this understood? I'm not sure what I should say. Manual mixture control is for controlling our mixture in flight to trim it back to lean things out a little bit for cruise. And we have a secondary use. We can pull it back to shut the engine down. ICO, idle cutoff. Perfect. You all got it, or most of you did. We set the engine to its idle. We pull slowly back on the lever, and we should see a small but noticeable, definite RPM rise before it dies. What is the purpose of this adjustable length rod, or why is it adjustable? So what is the point for adjusting idle speed? The little throttle stop here. The length of the rod is adjustable, so I can adjust my mixture. This stop is adjustable, so I can adjust my idle speed. The constant head idle spring. That's this one that I said you might want to know about. This one, positive fuel shutoff at engine shutdown. What spring are we talking about there? And where does that live? Real popular wrong answer. There is a spring that provides positive fuel shutoff at engine shutdown. Where does that spring live? Be a good thing to know. Nope. Right there. The flow divider. Remember that one? Prevents fuel dribbling into the engine after shutdown. It's a different one though. Most popular wrong answer. People were thinking about the fuel manifold. Right there. By reducing it. So the it doesn't oppose it, it reduces it. I mean, if you picked opposing the air metering force, that would be my favorite of the wrong answers. It reduces it. I guess you could say it opposes it. It reduces it. Opposing it is the fuel metering force, the blue and dark blue. Reducing it is this little valve. our air metering force actually becomes less. Does that terminology make sense? All right. Most people got confused by my terminology, it seems. Let's see if this makes sense now. Nice. This time you understood. Ouch. 7 out of 13 and we're on the podium. I didn't teach this very well, I guess. By opposing, by affecting the fuel metering force. Increasing or reducing the fuel metering force, Isaac. Braden?